Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High and the proper names in the Paleo Hebrew tongue. I want to say, Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakadash Ma'amaf. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, whom the world equally and willingly call God or Jehovah. Bahashim meaning in the name of. Yahweh Shai meaning he who delivers, whom the world eagerly and willingly call. JC today. I want to give a double honor to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule well, and another double honor to my elder as well, Ahara Wan bin Yasha Allah of the Lions Den camp here in Jacksonville, Florida. Salutations to the 144,000 hopeful elect pushing this truth across the four winds, and to the one-third remnant believers on Yahweh Bashim Shai, Shalom, Shalom. It's going to be a quick lesson put together through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai, and I pray that it be edifying. So, this lesson is going to be entitled, He suffered for his, we suffer for ours. So Yahweh Shai, he suffered for his. He suffered to basically bringing all the sins of Israel upon him, and basically through his stripes we were healed. So he suffered, to gain everything. So now we're in his same stead, suffering to gain everything, suffering to gain that crown, suffering to hear our father and our brother say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. So I'm going to start off in the book of Luke chapter 9 and verse 18. And it says, and it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him, and he asked them, saying, whom say the people that I am? And early in this chapter, it talked about how Yahushua was basically breaking the bread and the fish and feeding, all those people, those thousands of people. Verse 18, it says, and it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him, and asked him, saying, whom say the people that I am? They answering said, John the Baptist, but some say Elias, and others say that one of the old prophets is risen again. Verse 20, and it says, he said unto them, but whom say ye that I am? Peter answering said, the anointed of Yahweh. The anointed of Yahweh. And he straitly charged them and commanded them to tell no man that thing, saying, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and chief priests and scribes and be slain and be raised the third day. So, at this moment, Yahushua was prophesying, he was telling, the disciples that he's going to have to suffer many great things, but at the end, he's going to gain everything, to be unalived by, offered up by our people, crucified by, the Romans, and bearing the sins of Israel, bearing the sins of Israel, that was basically sprung up from their youth, because the controversy or understanding the things that took place during the time of Solomon, and how basically Solomon caused Israel to go off and caused great wrath to come upon Israel, and basically causing the falling away. It was a falling away, or the northern tribe and the southern tribe basically fell away, via Jeroboam and Rehoboam. So basically that and the sins of Adam, So Yahushua basically went up on the cross and he bared all that. You know what I'm saying? He bared all that to where it get to a point to where now in the kingdom we're going to be able to have new bodies, we're going to be immortal, and we're never going to sin again. And that's going to be a memorial that's talked about every day in the kingdom, every day, every year. You see what I'm saying? How Yahushua's sacrifice is the reason why we're able to rejoice. Not having to live in a world where wickedness flourish. Basically, like the scripture says, through his stripes we were healed. And I didn't get that. I should have got that. It's all right. It says, verse 22, saying, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and the chief priests and the scribes and be slain and raised in the third day. And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. So, right, In order, to be, what's the word I'm looking for? In order to be considered a man of the Lord, you have to take up your cross and follow Yahweh Shai daily. It's always a daily battle, a battle of the mind, a battle of the flesh, battling the physicality of this life and having to deal with, wicked people. You have to try your best to apply scriptures in the midst of being around wicked people. You see what I'm saying? So, right, it says, verse 23 again, and said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. And we finna get ready to see that, to where people gonna lose their life trying to save it, basically running to Esau's chipping stations. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna bring it. It don't matter what the lesson is. I'm gonna bring that out in every single lesson about the MOTB. That's a major prophecy that we waiting for. So right, our people are going to basically try to save their life, and they're going to lose it. And us, the hopeful elect, Lord, when I'm a part of that number, we're going to lose our life for the Son of Man's sake. It says the same shall save it. So right, we're going to save it ultimately. We're not going to suffer eternal damnation, basically, or being at the bottom in the kingdom of heaven. Having a blot on your name, or basically just it's a scripture that says it's better to be a doorman in Yahweh Bashim Yahshua's kingdom. You see what I'm saying? But we're gonna strive and we're gonna work hard, just to, what it said, they served him and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years, meaning all eternity. We want to be that governing body in the kingdom, to be highly regarded and to be able to have meetings and just do things with Yahweh Shai. That's what we strive to be and to do in this life. That's why we do this work. That's why we take up the cross daily and follow Yahweh Shai. See what I'm saying? So right. It says, verse 25, for what is a man's advantage if he gain the whole world and lose himself and be casted away? So right, you can gain the whole world and lose yourself, lose your soul. You see what I'm saying? Bow that knee. Them riches are basically corrupt your mind, and you get so comfortable at being at the top to where you don't know how to swim no more, man. You don't know how to survive at the bottom, So it gets to a point to where, what's the point of gaining the whole world, just to suffer sin for a season, basically. The scriptures talk about how Moses, he chose to rather go through with the people rather than suffer sin for a season. So right, what is a man's advantage if you gain the whole world and lose your soul? In this life that we live in, we want to serve Yahweh Bashim Yahshua to the best of our ability. We want him to look down we want Yahweh to look down upon us every day and see his son. When he look at us, he's well pleased with us, just like he's well pleased with his son. So right, this is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 6. It says, humble yourself therefore under the mighty hand of Yahweh, that he may exalt you in due time. Right? So us doing this work is us showing us a form of meekness, a form of humbleness, because we patiently waiting for Yahweh Shemashah to exalt us in due time. It says, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Right? And that's a daily thing, It's a daily thing. These demons out here, they don't sleep. So these demons, they constantly trying to find a way to vex you, to try to pull you out the truth. Constantly trying to put a wicked thought in your head. Constantly trying to send a wicked woman your way. Constantly trying to send people your way to make you angry. So right. So we have to be on point and understand these things and resort back to the scriptures. I'll be with my coworkers, or what the case may be, or around people. You'll be in Clark Kent mode so long you begin to, you know what I'm saying? It began to be overwhelming. Like say you at work, you didn't listen to music for X amount of times, at some point, you be like, all right, man, I got to turn this off. That's how it be when you're around your coworkers. You've been in Clark Kent mode for so long, to where you start to feel physically drained for keeping that mask on for so long, to where now you got to come and resort back to the scriptures. So it's about being vigilant. You'll be around them, and you gotta fake the funk. You gotta fake the funk just to get your daily bread. And in the midst of you faking, you laughing at shit that ain't funny, or you just moving in a way to where you could just applying scriptures, just basically, like my brother, just putting a mask on, trying to just put the mask on, basically. So all right, I'm gonna keep going. It says, verse 9, whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. So right, that devil that's walking about seeking whom he may devour as a roaring lion, he doing the same thing to everybody that got a light on them. Everybody that got something shining, the spirit of Yahweh Shemeshah shining inside of them. So he's basically trying to test them and get them to have the spirit of losing their life for trying to save it via bowing down to Esau's system. So I'm keep going. It says, verse 10, but the power of all grace who have called us into this eternal glory by Hamashiach Yahushua, after ye have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, and settle you. So right, after you suffer for a while, Yahushua, he'll make you perfect. He'll establish and strengthen you. He'll settle you, put you on this good ground, and cause your root to flourish deep within the soil. So now you're rooted in the faith, and it gives you, let's say, what is something, it keeps your wick lit, and keeps your light burning through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. See, he'll make you perfect. He'll establish, strengthen, and settle you. It says, to him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. So right, because you got to understand, like, the good gracious and the grace that Yahweh Shem Yahushua has to present a sinner and give a sinner this type of power, to understand scriptures in a world where people stuck on plantation Christianity, to give you gas. I say gas, to keep the car going, water. I'm gonna say water, to keep you, satisfied and well nurtured in the scriptures. So it gets to a point to where, all these things basically give you the extra push that you need to keep going. Reading, praying for the wisdom, knowledge, understanding, begging for the wisdom, knowledge, understanding. You know what I'm saying? Begging for the wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Like, you got to picture yourself, how you scooping some water with both hands, scooping some water from a pond, a fresh water, right? And you drinking it. Imagine yourself spiritually holding your hands together like that, and you looking up to heaven, and you're asking the Lord, give me the little book. Eat it up, or put a little bit of water in my hands, sprinkle a little water on me, give me a little oil, to keep me going for the day. And every day, Lord, Baba Gashar, give me the little book, put it inside me. Give me the wisdom, knowledge, understanding to keep going, and give me your scriptures in my heart, just like I be remembering these songs. I want to remember every single last scripture in this book before my time, like the book of Eli, before I die or before I fly, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So, all right, we keep going. Where was I? This is the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 2. It says, brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. So when you fall into those diverse temptations and you have a thought, or you feel as if that you ain't enough, you feel as if that you ain't get inspired, to put your next lesson together. You got to open the book and read. Now it's time to study, because anxiety try to tell you, man, you don't want to sit there and look at that page. And then when you open the page, you be trying to read all extra fast. Now you got, Lord, please calm my mind. Calm my mind, Baba Gashar, and help me pay attention to what I'm finna read. See what I'm saying? So the Lord will calm your mind, and he'll make it as if it's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because you've been done did so much stuff through the day, your mind be racing. Now you got to sit down and read. Now it's time to sit down and study and read. Your mind's still racing, thinking about the female you was talking to in Clark Kent mode, and how you put that game down on her, or the coworker who you was talking to, and you had to fake like you know what I'm saying, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So now you finally open the book, your mind thinking about these, your eyes moving back and forth, back and forth. Before you know it, you just skimming through. Now you gotta go read that over. Read. You gotta lock in, glue your eyes to the paper, lock in to the pages, and then next thing you know, you read a few chapters. Now you got a lesson. Or the Lord give you inspiration to do a lesson. So never feel as if when the diverse temptations start to kick in. Never feel as if that you're running out of gas, or you're not having inspiration. You want to always keep the inspiration through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. It says, "Brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience." So when you go through things, it works patience. Sometimes we go through things because we do things. We just do shit, being in the flesh. You do something, you got to go through it again and again and again and again and again and get to a point like, all right, man, I'm tired of this. I'm tired. Let me just, lock in with the Lord and just make it to the next level. So I ain't gotta worry about this level no more. So right, it says, knowing that the trying of your faith worketh patience, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. So the trying of your faith, it says, let patience have her perfect work. It's an everyday thing. Being in the truth every day, it takes patience, because every day you got to wake up and do it over and over and over again. It becomes a lifestyle. So this lifestyle that we live, Yahweh Shem shall look down, and he's proud of us, for not, giving heed to those diverse temptations, man. When it's all said and done with, it says, it's all right. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of Yahweh, that give it to all men liberally and upbraid it not, and it shall be given him. So, right, you have to ask Yahweh Shem Shah for that wisdom, knowledge, understanding. And once he gives you that wisdom, knowledge, understanding, it's going to keep you going. It's going to keep you satisfied, and it's going to keep you remembering, I just did all this today. I listened to X amount of music. I went to the gym. I did my little hobby. I went around, talked to some females or whatever the case may be. I did all these things today. And now you get home, you tired. All right, man, let me read. Let me knock this lesson out. All right, let me watch some videos. All right, let me do something. At this point, let me catch up on my reading, my videos, and praying or whatever you got to do. That be on the forefront of our mind when we get up and when we go to sleep. Let's take it up. That's carrying your cross daily. That's a part of carrying your cross daily, along with going through the things that we had to go through on this side. So, right, you had to ask Yahweh Shem Yahshua for wisdom to even get to that point. Once he gives you that wisdom, it's going to keep you going, So you want to always be in the spirit of, all right, what's next? On to the next. What's on the plate today? Like the elder was saying in the video, man. Yahweh Shem Yahshua give you a plate. You gotta constantly, you gotta get something off that plate. Basically lessons, or you're reading, you're studying, and you gotta get something. You gotta get it off the plate. So okay, let's see. First Peter chapter 4 and verse 12, it says, Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. So, right, this fiery trial, you gonna go through things. Don't make it as if something strange happened to you when you're just going through things, or whatever the case may be. You have to consider Yahweh Shem Yahshua, when them diverse temptations come. It says, Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you, but rejoice in as much as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's sufferings. All right, when you constantly going through things, you gotta rejoice because it shows that you have been a partaker of the Lord's sufferings. So basically, we're going back to the lesson topic. The lesson title, it says, He suffered for his, we suffer for ours. Because he suffered. Now we're basically partakers of that suffering, by doing this work, washing the blood off our hands, and basically showing the Lord that we down. That we down for him, we ride with him, till the wheels fall off. But ain't no wheels on the chariot. So you know what that mean. That mean we ain't never falling off. It might be some wheels on the chariot, but it's all right. So, all right, verse 13 again. But rejoice in as much as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. So, right, imagine a big giant chariot, a fathership coming into the atmosphere, everybody running and screaming, and you like, yes. You see what I'm saying? Last day living in this box. You know what I'm saying? Niggas running, chips everywhere, and you just living in a box. You're like, thank the Lord. Last day living in this box. I'm finna go from this box to an apartment in the sky. The Lord say, what? Sit down here in my chambers. You see what I'm saying? To the indignation be overpassed. So now, guess what? The Lord finna let me move in. So right, that's a part of Hamashiach's suffering. The time gonna come to where we gonna be called up, just like he was called up into a chariot. The time gonna come when we get to get called up. And Yahushua, your big brother, we're gonna do our ceremony, do everything. He'll be like, all right, yeah, let me show y'all this, let me show y'all that. I bitch, I ain't never seen nothing like this before. You see what I'm saying? So right, let's keep going. Verse 13 again, but rejoice in as much as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. Right, verse 14, if ye be reproached for the name of Hamashiach, happy are ye, for the spirit of glory and of Yahweh rested upon you. On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified. So right, So basically, man, our people, they reproach us for having the name of Yahweh Shem Yahshai, for calling the name of Yahweh Shem Yahshai, and they look down on us for it, But ultimately, we're looking at them like, y'all the one stupid, Y'all the one don't believe, all the way over in this Western world hemisphere calling on the Greek God. That's a mental health problem. See what I'm saying? So right, he's glorified on our part because we exalt his name. He had these people over here acting and faking, and them the same people that he said, man, if y'all fathers killed the prophet, y'all don't love me. I'm saying people, Jesus, God. You see what I'm saying? Calling on these false gods, man. The whole time Yahushua gave them that name. He don't even want them call on his name. You tell him, man, go call on that God you was chosen. That same one that he made you call on because what you was doing 2,000 years ago. So right. So he's glorified on our part. Verse 15. But let none of you suffer as a murderer or as a thief or as an evildoer or as a busybody in other men's matters. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify Yahweh on this behalf. So right, we glorify on Yahweh that the simple fact that we at the bottom. We glorify to Yahweh Shem Yahshai at the simple fact that the hood bitches don't want us. The lame extra wicked females in this life are turned off by us. You see what I'm saying? So we glorifying that. We glorify that this light attracts who is meant to attract. So right, keep going. Verse 17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Yahweh, and if it first begin at us, what should the end be of them that obey not the gospel of Yahweh? So right. Salakia. So right, judgment has began at the house of Yahweh Shem Yahshai. It's crazy because the elders, man, brothers doing videos talking about something, man, when IUIC get their judgment, it's probably going to happen in June. They say, hey, IUIC judgment probably going to happen in June 1st. You see what I'm saying? So right. So we're basically suffering with Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. And it says the judgment is going to begin at his house. It says, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of Yahweh? So those that claim to be Israelites, call on the name of Yahweh Hashem Hashai, or Santa Day Hebrews, the judgment going to begin over there with us. You see what I'm saying? So the people who don't agree with one mind or don't call on the name of Yahweh Hashem Hashai or doing whatever they want to do in his life, those are going to be the same people, that basically go through it the most. I'm keep going. Verse 18, and if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? Right, because they didn't choose to suffer with Yahweh Shem Yahshai. It says, wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of Yahweh commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing as unto a faithful creator. So right, every day we're going to pick up that cross and we're going to carry it every single day. Every day is always be work to do. And who better to put your trust and to do that work, than your faithful servant, faithful servants of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So we have been entrusted with this word, so the suffering, let me get that. What's that? You write it down? That's crazy. Is that Romans chapter 8? Let's see. I'm going to find it. Give me it. Come on. Romans chapter 8 and verse 18. Nope. 15. All right, I'm starting at verse 15. Basically the sufferings. It says, for ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. So right, Yahweh Shema Shai put it in our hearts to call upon, their name. By us calling upon their name, it shows that we are fit. We are vessels fit to basically suffer with Yahweh Shai. So we are those vessels that's fit to keep going, to keep pushing it, to be able to carry that cross, because that cross in itself is a lot of pressure. It's like going to the bottom of the sea. If you ain't worthy to pick that cross up, that's a hand picked for that brother, it's gonna smush your ass. You see what I'm saying? Then you're gonna be back in the world and say, no, I ain't with all that Hebrew Israelite stuff. Those Hebrew Israelites because that cross down there hurt your damn toe. You see what I'm saying? A woman to get with a brother that got to carry that cross, then she gonna be owned by her business, man. So right, he put it in our, we had that spirit of adoption where he put it in our hearts to cry, Abba, Father. Verse 16, the spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahweh. So right, we the only ones got that spirit, man. We the only ones out there on the highways and byways doing this correctly to the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shema Shai. Right, so right. And it says, verse 17, and if children, then heirs of Yahweh, and joint heirs with Hamashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. So right, we suffering with him, so the time gonna come, he gonna be happy to show us everything. He gonna be happy to teach us. He gonna be happy to have his brothers with him. He gonna pop that wine. He gonna pop the wine, and he gonna pop that wine open. 144,000 ceremony, Lord willing, I'm there. Ain't gonna be nobody there to call you a wine bibbler. You see what I'm saying? So right, we're just gonna be chilling. We're gonna be chilling with the Lord. So right, it says, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us. So right, the suffering that we're going through, it ain't gonna matter, because this ain't nothing but a speck of dirt when it comes to the measuring of eternity. 1,000 years is nothing according to the measuring of eternity. Think about how many days you've been in this life. You see what I'm saying? 365 days in a year. Imagine 1,000 years being a day. You see what I'm saying? You had 365 of those. You're only 1 year old. You see what I'm saying? 365,000 years. So it gets to a point, man, Man, we finna be living so long and mortal, to get to a point to where you'll be living for millions of years, millions and billions and trillions. You're gonna be living for eternity, or years. Still telling us you might be not thinking about damn Babylon and all the shit. You have a little vague little memory, tell your little great 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 grandchildren what was going on. The same ones that basically had to perish. You telling them that what's going on. You know, so it's gonna get to a point to where eternity. So we ain't gonna be worried about 400 years of slavery, 400 years of bondage. We're just gonna be talking about it or what happened. All right. So I'm gonna get this last precept in the book of Baruch. Because we're suffering with the Lord. We're suffering patiently, right? So Baruch chapter 4 and verse 25, it says, My children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from Yahweh, for thy enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. So right, that's what's going to happen to Amalek. And that's what's going to happen to little Esau. You see what I'm saying? So Esau destruction, you all up in the temple, you all up in the land, faking the funk, trying to be something that you're not. You see what I'm saying? Walking around with them long ass braids, all that fucking lice. You ain't gonna never be no Hebrew. You ain't gonna never be no Israelite, man. So you can go ahead and stop faking. You ain't got no fucking salt. How that work? You be all as your damn whatever bar mitzvah, whatever, playing OJ the Juice Man and shit. But you get to a point where you wanna be something that you're not. You can never be. So right, Lord said, My children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from Yahweh, a name that you can't say. For thy enemy had persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. And that's just what it's going to be. Take your head off and fix your lips to say Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. That's what we want to hear. Take your small ass hat off and fix your lips to say the Lord's name. We're going to see your destruction and we're going to tread upon your neck. That's just what it's going to be. Verse 26, My delicate ones have gone rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies. Right, via sin. Via sin. Constantly sinning, constantly, adding iniquity upon iniquity. We all do it, but the elect are considerate of their sins and make amends in turn, So, right, our people have went rough ways, falling out the ways of the heathen, doing all manner of witchcraft and wickedness, basically. It says, My delicate ones have been going rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies. Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto Yahweh, for you shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. So right, Yahweh Shemashah brought these things upon you, so he's going to remember us. Once he's going to keep us in that fire for oh so long, and after that he's going to remember us, he's going to pull us out that fire. It says, verse 28, For as it was your mind to go astray from Yahweh, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. We're seeking Yahweh Shemashah 10 times more. It says, For he that brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy again with your salvation. So Yahweh Shemashah, man, he's going to bring us everlasting joy. We're never going to be able to die again, never going to be able to sin again, never going to have to worry about a skinny ass, a big nose ass nigga with a small ass hat ruining and running the world. You see what I'm saying? We ain't gonna have to worry about that when it's all said and done with. Saul ain't do his job, but we gonna do our job through the spirit power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Your ass gonna be Obadiah, Your ass gonna be Obadiah. Go ahead, put my face on the board, put a pen next to it, nigga. You see what I'm saying? So right. All right, man. Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to bring us everlasting joy again with our salvation. We're going to see our salvation. We know who our salvation is. We see chariots flying over us, man. We call upon the name of Yahweh Shemel Shai. He reveals himself to us. You see what I'm saying? So get your ass in your think tank and think about what you're going to do. You see what I'm saying? Verse 30. It said, Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. While you in your think tank thinking about what you're going to do to the Lord's elect, Yahweh Shemel Shai, we're going to be somewhere asleep 12 hours straight, comforted, bomb dropping, and we being comforted. Angels around, confusing your mind, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. Thought you was finna run up in the house. They thought they were finna run up in the house and do it and have their way. Lord blinded them wicked niggas, man. And that's just what it's going to be. So guess what? We have no worries when it comes to goddamn small hat ass Amalek. You see what I'm saying? And Esau Edom, the wicked, on this side, in America, across the four corners of the earth, man. We ain't got no words when it comes to you, man. When it's all said and done with, we fear him that can kill the body and the soul in hell. So, right, it says, verse 31, miserable are they that afflicted thee and rejoice at thy fall. Miserable is Amalek. Miserable are the cities which thy children serve. Miserable is she that received thy son. Miserable is the nigga that owns slave ships. Miserable is the nigga that went and gathered up other nations to sell the Lord's people across the four corners of the earth. Miserable are all those people that took place in the transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade, the constant trafficking across the four corners of the earth. Miserable are you, man, when it's all said and done with. Miserable are you, all, doing all the wickedness across the four corners of the earth. Miserable are they that afflicted thee and rejoice at thy fall. If you rejoice at the fall of the Lord's woman, miserable are you. You see what I'm saying? Miserable are you, because your ass going to be in the kingdom with no damn rain. You're going to be in the kingdom, and you're going to have to come to us for all your crops and everything that you need. We're going to be the plug through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Ashah on the whole world for a whole eternity. It says, for verse 33, Salakia. Verse 33, for as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad at thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. So right, that's what's going to happen to the whore that rode upon the beast, or Babylon, America. You're going to be grieved for your own desolation. It said, verse 34, for I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. Right, they're going to be mourning. Over there trying to help Amalek fight a war that he's starting, and you can't even protect yourself. You see what I'm saying? Because you didn't show the world how to stab you. You didn't show them how to make missiles. You didn't sold it to them. You did all this extra shit. You didn't show them how to be wicked. So guess what? The wickedness of the wicked gonna come upon you in its perfection. To so much so to where the Lord's sword be bathed in heaven. Falling right down upon Idumea. That's what we can't wait to see. It says, for I will take away the rejoicing of a great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. For fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time. Right, the Lord's sword is going to be bathed in heaven. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be bathed in heaven. It's going to drop right down on a nigga hat, and we can't wait to see it. It says, verse 37, lo, thy sons come, whom thou sendest away. They come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of Yahweh. So, right, that's just what it is, man. Yahweh Shem Yahshua, he have sent this word across the four corners of the earth, and now we're physically rejoicing at the fact that our captivity has an end, and one day we're going to see that door be open with that light at the end of the tunnel. And that's Yahweh Shah saying, come up hither, that you be not partakers of what I'm finna do to this place, man. I pray this lesson was edifying. Shalom, on to the next.